Let me tell you a story. I'm 17 years old and I'm in a dark room. I'm in the garage of my house, and this is where we have our home gym. There's a bench, a couple of adjustable dumbbells, and a little barbell. I've only been working out for about a month so far, but I'm stood here in the cold, in the dark, and I've got like little weightlifting gloves on and everything, and I'm having like an average or maybe a little bit below average of a day, if I'm honest. Still feel like a loser even though I've been training hard. I've wasted like 2 hours today, like fapping and watching YouTube videos and everything. But at least I'm here now in the gym. And so, I'm doing 1 set, 2 sets, 3 sets, starting to feel good, get sweaty. And, slowly I'm warming up and my emotions are feeling better and a good song comes on. And before I know it, I'm literally in front of the little mirror, like dancing and flexing and feeling good. And it just hits me of how beautiful this is. That as a young guy, I can be here right now and feel so awesome doing something so productive when for most of my life I've just been playing video games for the same feeling of like a high. The lesson of this story, many young guys know this, is just how beautiful weightlifting and going to the gym is for us, how powerful it is as a young masculine man, as part of this like tribe that we're all in to become strong. It is like literally the core habit for all of us, isn't it? It's like going to the gym is like the first core self-improvement habit for most of us. I want to give you 5 exercises that I think are probably better than a lot others when it comes to just building muscle, but also like feeling awesome. By the way, bro, you're consuming all of these educational videos, which is awesome. But let's be more serious. There is a war on masculinity. And for us to win this war, we need you to join our gang. I'm welcoming you to the Adonis Gang. Come join your brotherhood by clicking the top link in the description right now and watching that welcome video after you finish watching this one. And the first exercise is incline bench press. The bench press is literally like one of the most famous exercises, one of the most popular, and everyone seems to do just flat bench press to start off like their chest day or their push session. And that can be awesome. What I will say though is the risk of injury with flat bench is much, much higher than the risk of injury with incline or decline bench press. This is something that a lot of young guys don't think about, but over your entire life of like literally 50 years of lifting weights, flat bench press is going to injure you at some point. It's just basically inevitable. Someone will react to this video and say, no, if you've got good form, but it's like generally, if you are challenging yourself at some point, you probably will get injured and it's probably going to be in either bench press, deadlift or squat. It's going to be in with those exercises. If you just give it the smallest degree of incline or decline, the risk of injury drops dramatically just because of how like the bench sort of like supports your shoulder and it changes like the arc that you have in your back. Not only that, if you do incline bench press, just a little bit of an incline, 15 degrees, 30 degrees, you'll build the upper part of your chest. This is like standard like bro knowledge now. The bigger the incline, the more that the activation will go like basically up your chest and up into the shoulder. So if you're completely flat, it'll be like most of your chest here. Of course, it'll still hit your like upper chest and everything as well. But this is if you really want to get like specific with your training and you really care about, magnifying like every inch as you want, like sculpt it perfectly. If you do flat bench, it's like more on like this part of the pec. Once you get a higher incline degree, it'll go upper and upper and upper till eventually, if you're like completely upright, for example, if you're stood up straight or if you're like sat up straight, well, that's going to hit the front delt there. So if you bring it back to about 45 degrees angles, 30 degrees, 15 degrees, you'll naturally hit this upper chest. And that's actually the most attractive part. So you can see that if I'm like this, what looks nice is this little gap between my chest there. And if I had hit incline bench press for longer in my life, like I didn't hit it till about 4 years into my training, right now, my chest would actually look way like bigger, even if it was basically like the same size, but just more of the mass was up at the upper chest part. That's a whole like bro spill of words. Basically, if you hit incline bench press, your chest is going to look more aesthetic than if you just did flat bench press. Barbell or dumbbell, you choose your preference. For me, I often change it. Like dumbbell feels better, but then I feel like it's just kind of annoying to set up. There's so much more movements. You've got to like get the dumbbell from the rack. Okay, bring it here, bring the legs here, and then push it up here. Then, you know what I mean? So I've often preferred bench press, barbell press, but I will say that dumbbell press gives me like a nice better squeeze, which I personally think is more important for when you're actually trying to get like muscle gain. The second exercise, which many guys don't do, is hip thrust. So many guys will squat and deadlift, and those feel like alpha exercises. Hip thrust is kind of like the exercise that you see a bunch of the girls do in the gym. And often it builds like a really, really beautiful physique in girls when they just do hip thrust. Many guys are almost afraid to do hip thrust because, one, it kind of feels like, oh, it's gay. It's like, girls do it. Or two, many guys do rightly say like, oh, you don't really need to do it. You can do Romanian deadlifts or normal deadlifts or squats and it's fine. What I will say is hip thrust hit your glutes and your hamstring really well. And your glutes specifically are a very important part of the leg because your glutes are kind of like the shoulders of your leg, where, if you like to have nice looking arms, it's actually not about the arms. It's actually about the separation of your delt to the arm. So essentially, it's like when girls say, oh, he's got nice arms, often they don't even know what they're talking about because it's not arms what they're talking about. It's not biceps or triceps. It's actually literally lateral delts that girls are attracted to because it gives you a shoulder look. It's the same thing with legs. If we just look at you and you're not doing a full-on quad stretch, but you're just walking through the street, your legs will look a lot more jacked and you'll look a lot more strong and like thick if you had bigger glutes and hamstrings than quads. Quads are kind of like the muscle that everyone wants to train and do squats and stuff, and that's awesome. But if you want to have like that almost shoulder effect for the arm, you want bigger glutes for the legs. It gives you more of like this sort of thick butt look, which almost sounds absurd for guys, but trust me when I say like that's actually like it's very attractive and you look like you're strong, like you can move some big weights. And also just for like the sort of ego fun, hip thrust is the only exercise, at least for me, where I can make the bar bend. So there's videos of me where I've done like 200, 220 kg, whatever it was, 230 kg hip thrust. And that's like literally the standard Olympic bar starts bending at that weight. So that just feels like an awesome feeling. What is that? That's like 400 and something pounds, something like that. Maybe close to 500 pounds of hip thrust before. The third exercise, which is really important for men, and you probably thought I was going to put this in if you're a bit more of like a based young man and you've been watching videos like this for a while, is actually neck. Training your neck with neck curls and neck extensions. So neck curls are when you bring your like chin towards your body, and neck extensions when you move your chin up into the sky. And you do this whilst just like sat on a bench, and you can put the weight like above you like this, or you can put the weight on the back of your head like that. When you look at the pictures of guys who have had like their necks photoshopped, it's such a big difference that the only difference between these pictures right now is that the guy's neck has just been photoshopped to be bigger. But if you were actually honest and I asked you, but just at looking at these two little profile pictures, if you had to fight one of these guys, you'd naturally choose the one on the left who's got a skinnier neck. If you had to like, have one of these guys lead you into battle, you'd choose the one on the right who's got the thicker neck. It makes a bigger difference than you realize. It just kind of makes you look a lot more masculine. I realized that my neck was slacking when the amount of guys that I'd speak to who, when they'd see me in person after watching my videos, they'd always say the same thing, which is like, oh man, you're so much bigger in person than I thought you'd be. And I kept on hearing from like guys say that to me. And I was wondering why, because I was like, why isn't like, my physique coming across? Well, I was like, well, in my videos, you only really see from this upwards. And that's why I started to focus so much more on the upper chest and the neck, because I realized, well, like for most of your life, really the muscles that are visible are actually some of these. It's like the upper chest, which will push out all kinds of shirt. Never mind, obviously, these like open ones. But your neck is basically always visible. Jackets, full sleeves. Even if you imagine like a turtleneck, like a full neck shirt, even that will like, it'll be clear that you've got a thick neck. If you saw Mike Tyson in like a full neck shirt or even a turtleneck, his neck will still look thick. It's one of those muscles that is like, it's always obvious. When you train your abs, it's like, it's often hidden. When you train, sometimes even your like some like calves or something, it feels hidden. Sometimes you train like lateral delts and it feels hidden a little bit. Neck is one which is always there. I'll give you a few tips with training neck because I've been doing it religiously now for a few years. When you're doing the forward one, curl and neck extension, these days I don't actually use like actual weights. What I do is I just kind of like use my hand instead. So I've always hated neck setup. I've hated training neck because it's just so annoying grabbing the weight, putting it there onto your neck. It feels a little bit unsafe. It feels weird. It's, it's this heavy, weird feeling and everything. It feels really unsafe in a public gym as well. And so these days I use basically unweighted, but I'll just kind of do slower reps and I'll really squeeze it slowly. And I'll also just randomly put my fist like this and press against my neck like that as well. So you can argue that, oh, but it's not even, and you don't know exactly what weight, how much volume, that like force there is pushing right now, because it's kind of weird to like push at the same time that you're trying to move it and stuff. So it's definitely not accurate. But these days I just prefer doing that than actually grabbing like a bunch of plates or using like the bondage BDSM stuff, like the gear that you put on your face and the masks and everything. I don't want to use any of that. It's just annoying having it all on your face. It's like ripping into your beard. I've got the heavy weight here with the towel, and I don't want to use that. So I literally just do it like this. And what I will say, actually, I actually found a huge improvement to my neck when I did the side by side one. So it's so much easier doing like just forward curl or maybe a neck extension like this one, but actually doing it on the side. So just doing it like this, which you can literally just do as you sit and watch me right now, which is quite nice. You can literally just do this with your neck. Start here and push there. That's it. And what you can do is just press against you. There you go. So if I start here, now I'm going to press my neck down with my fingers, and I'm just going to press against that for a rep. There you go. 1 rep. 2 rep. 3 reps. Do 20 or 30 of those. Do the same thing here. In a weird, like, you're still going to actually make muscle. I know it seems like goofy or whatever, but you're literally going to still make muscle, and you can do that whilst you're literally sat watching YouTube. The 4th exercise I actually want to tell you about is a new one that, I'm not going to lie, sounds kind of sad, but like I saw a tweet from Andrew Tate doing this exercise, and I was like, oh, it actually looks like really cool, so I'm going to try it. Basically, you just sit down. Like, I'll show you like a video of me. You sit down, you grab a light dumbbells, and you just kind of go like this, almost like it'd be some kind of like incline press, but you go for like reps or time under tension. And I'm not doing this specifically just to make gains or anything, because I'm going for like literally 50 reps, 100 reps on this one. So it's not about making muscle, but it's actually about the endurance for fighting. So if you're into martial arts, if you're into especially striking with boxing, or you do MMA, it's often like one of the biggest problems when you're a beginner is like your shoulders get tired and you kind of want to drop the arms. You almost get like a little bit too tired and fatigued to like keep your arms up. When you do a bunch of reps of this sort of dumbbell forward shoulder press, I don't know what we'd call it, like seated dumbbell forward boxer press, whatever it is, right? When you do like a set of 100 of these, and you're in time under tension for like 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it's very similar to being in a round of boxing where you're throwing these punches. And so it just feels kind of fun because it's so different from all kinds of training that I've done before. We do these slow reps, we do front raises, presses, whatever. This was a very different style, and you're just going for as many reps as possible. So it's quite like a nice like brain dead movement. Choose a nice lightweight. I think I use like 5 kg dumbbells, so 5 kg. And my goal now is 105 reps without putting it down. It's almost like a mental thing. So if you're trying to maximize muscle, this won't really help you that much. But if you actually kind of want to feel like strong in your body in cases you get into a fight or you want to improve for martial arts, this can be a really fun, unique movement to add in. You might be surprised for the 5th exercise that I'm going to talk about, which is skipping. So I could talk to you about any random, like bodybuilding thing, okay, leg extension and bicep curls, fine. And that stuff's awesome, but you probably kind of know about that already. Chances are you're a guy right now who comes into the gym, hits his like, bodybuilding workout, weightlifting workout, and then just goes home and maybe doesn't do that much cardio. Skipping, I found, is the most fun type of cardio. And specifically, if you're trying to like dominate the gym, look really cool in the gym, when you level up skipping, you look the coolest. So level 1 skipping, for example, is like just skip normally, jump up, boom. Level 2 is kind of like the boxer step. Level 3, you might do like high knees. And eventually, like my friend Scott, you can do all like the weird one where you're like doing like a double skip. You're like moving it on the side. You look proper cool and everything. It's awesome for fat loss. And I found, again, it's awesome for fighting, like martial arts, but also, again, for the feeling of being confident in your own body. When you can skip for 10, 20, 30 minutes straight, you really strengthen a lot of those random muscles that you often don't hit in the normal gym. So a lot of muscles in your feet, a lot of muscles near like the Achilles tendon and calves. When you're just training normal in the gym, weightlifting and bodybuilding, you're not really hitting these random ones. So for example, I trained for years and years and years in the gym, bodybuilding, weightlifting, and doing a few minutes of skipping burns these random muscles in my feet and everything. And it makes me think, oh, damn, like my feet are actually really weak. I've never trained the muscles in my feet. Now, if you're like a young guy, you only care about, packing on muscle mass and stuff. I totally understand because I've been like that. If you're willing to listen to like, a bit of like a older guy's like idea, you really want to feel like you've got fast feet. It was only when I got a little bit older that I realized how like important this feeling was. But you don't want to end up feeling like a stiff, slow bodybuilder. Even if bodybuilding's your main thing and weightlifting's your main thing, just having a little bit of fast feet where you feel like you can jump, you can sprint, you can move. It gives you like this feeling of like safety and security in your body, that if if chaos happens and some big emergency happens, imagine, like, for the guys in US, imagine there's like some live shooting happening. Some people in the world right here, right now, are going through a war. And what might save your life is the fact that you practice something like skipping, which made you quicker, or maybe sprints, for example. We're training to have an awesome physique and to, increase our 1 rep max in squats. And that's really nice. But really, if training could prepare you for like the chaos that the world can throw for you, like a potential war in your country, and you need to be able to sprint whilst you grab onto like your little sister's hand and bring her with you, that's like training. Now you're training. I know it's a bit of a crazy thought, but there's people right here, like today, who are literally going through war, like, the newest wars that you look onto the news right now as of like, October the 11th. There's genuinely someone who watches our videos like every day. You might have literally liked his comments underneath one of our videos. And he's alive right now because he had been like sprinting and skipping training. And he needed that like yesterday or the day before, when like chaos is happening in the world. And there's also someone who's not alive anymore because he didn't train this. Forgive me for sounding like, it's his fault or anything, but like, the reason to train hard is a lot more serious than you think. There's literally someone who probably watched a lot of our videos who, again, maybe you replied to his comment before, and he's not alive right now. And he might have been alive if he was able to sprint a little bit faster. Just something to bear in mind. I apologize for putting you into like a proper dark mood, but like, there is dark, hard times amongst us. Now more than ever, it's very important to be a strong man who's not just, doing just the bodybuilding, weightlifting sessions, but like who's becoming like an all-round fit, healthy, strong man. So I commend you. I respect you for being on this journey alongside me and joining our tribe, your brotherhood in this. Together we are the strongest tribe out there. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it.